Hello everyone! My goodness, you've been very patient. Thank you for waiting so patiently for us. It's been ages, hasn't it? How are you? Are you alright? It's nice to talk to you again. Thanks everyone for joining in. Welcome back to the I'll Try That podcast. My name's Matthew Barber, and joining me this week are Richard Drabwell.
How we doing all? How we doing?
And Joseph Druitt.
Hello.
That was good. Also, I had such excitement then. You probably heard I was banging banging my chair in excitement. I'll stop doing that so we can actually make this work a bit better. So yeah, sorry everyone, you've not heard from us for a while. We think we did our last episode on the 28th of September. There were a few reasons for that. Mm-hmm. Is that right? 2020 end of September.
While, yeah.
It's been a while. End of September. Yeah.
So we've been in the wilderness. Apologies. So several reasons for that. We're very busy, important men. I was expecting less laughter at that. But also, today's episode is a very, very special episode that we didn't want to rush into, and that is, of course, you've been counting them down. This is the 200th episode of the I'll Try That podcast.
Clap, 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 clap,
the crowd goes wild.
And in preparation for 200 episodes, I drank 200 beers this week. So that's the
And you're looking all right
this week.
So
I haven't left my house.
You look good for 200 beers in this past week.
I'm feeling pretty surprisingly fresh.
Excellent. Well, he's for his 200th beer. What are we drinking? So we thought we'd also go and try and get hold of some beers that were 200 years old, or sort of.
Yes, exactly. Close to 200 years, I think, was the in and around 200 years, rounding or rounding down.
Roundabout
200 years. So
because there aren't that many that are like nailed on 200 years old. So I thought I had played a blinder. Because I was like, I'm sure we haven't done this brewery, except we totally have. And I've got some Theakstons, who are actually going to be 200 years old in 2027, but that's near as makes no difference.
Yeah, that's a rounding error. It's fun.
And I've got Old Peculiar, which you may also remember from the previous episode of the Art podcast.
We quite enjoyed Old Peculiar, didn't we? When we did it,
and
we've had a bit of luck with this one as well, Barbara, because we got a beer by Palmer's Brewery that says 200 on it, but actually this brewery's over 230 years old, so we're doing a different rounding error on this kind of brewery.
It's got a label that's got really boldly 200 written on it, and I think that's probably going to do the job. What is it? Sorry, the Palmer's.
But they're over 230
years old, but they're celebrating 200 years.
Yeah, so this must be like a beer that they've had for a while out there. But I was like, oh great. Let's get their 200th anniversary beer before they sell out. It's like, no, clearly not. They've been selling it for 30 years.
So I suppose we'll talk about Palmer's in a bit.
Yeah.
And first we'll talk about...
Let's do that.
Well, obviously the election was big. We're going to instead...
Yeah, we're pivoting.
Exactly.
We're getting really serious in our next 200 episodes. We're going to get really focused, and we're going to take it down a notch or two, and we're going to get really... Kind of get to the brass tacks.
This is going to be a highbrow podcast from now on, and we should be honest with the audience that actually we decided, there was one of two paths we could take, and we're going for the more serious option. The alternative was we were going to put on Australian accents, grow large moustaches, and then pretend things are funnier than they are, because that seems to be quite a popular theme with podcasts that I've seen recently.
Yeah. Especially if video podcasts, they soundbite, they snippet them up on TikTok and stuff. And it's just
my mate's got a really funny nickname.
Why are we laughing so much?
Well, I think we should just follow in do the Hawk 2. She's got a podcast, hasn't she now? The Hawk 2 girl.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, the Hawk 2 girl.
Talking to her. It's called.
What has become of the world? The fact that an influencer like Jake Paul can beat Mike Tyson, who's like twice his age, and everyone's just like, oh my god. Like, this has got the most hype I've seen in the last couple of months. I was like, what is that all about?
I like a pop culture reference when I know what it is. I thought it was on Saturday night, but it was on Friday
Yeah.
night or Saturday morning.
Yes.
And so I went to bed. I didn't think I was really going to get up and watch it because it's like 1 a.m.
Were you going to watch it? Because it was on Netflix, wasn't it? Were you going to get up and watch it?
I just heard people talking about it, and I go, I would quite like to see Mike Tyson smash that bloke's face in.
Yeah, that was.
And that's not what happened. Apparently, they just...
It was scripted.
Yeah, they just pretended to hit each other.
I got up for work at 5:30 in the morning, and I was like, oh, maybe I was like, oh, I'll quickly Google it. It was on it so I managed to catch the last 2 rounds at 5:30 in the morning whilst getting ready for work.
Well, there was only 5, wasn't there?
It was 8, I thought.
They said,
I think it was eight
2-minute rounds, yeah.
Okay.
But it was rubbish.
For how much money did they get for that as well?
Paul got 40.
Like,
Paul got 40 mil. Tyson got 20 mil.
How did that make any sense?
So supposedly,
Mike Tyson.
yeah, supposedly because he's such a big YouTube sensation, Paul bloke has brought more audience.
Basically,
in.
no. The only reason he brought more audience in is because more people wanted to see him get knocked out.
Yeah, fair point. That's, to be honest, you've hit upon another important thing that I hadn't realised, is because I remember, I think on Instagram, Netflix said it could be at 1 a.m, but of course that's when they start, but actually it doesn't that's the whole undercard first, isn't it? Because Serrano and Katie What's-Her-Chops actually was quite a good fight, I heard. But yeah.
I don't know who these people
either
are.
way, it doesn't matter. But the other thing that dawned on me when I saw on Saturday morning, something went about the Tyson. I was like, oh, hang on, maybe the fight was last night. And then I saw all this stuff saying, oh, YouTuber versus 58-year-old Mike Tyson actually turns out to be a complete waste of time. I was like, that does not qualify as news. And if no one saw that coming, then you want to give your head a wobble, basically. Oh, good. So
it's more why I think we got to the topic, because there's a lot of warnings at the moment of these influencers that are talking about things and trying to push their agenda onto things, like nutrition influencers, kind of cult leader style influencers, kind of whatever. I just want to really abundantly state we started this podcast as some fun to chat about beers and kind of broaden people's kind of experiences and knowledge base on a bit of beer whilst having fun with it. At no point are we pushing you to have any of this stuff. I would not class myself and us as influencers whatsoever. The fact that we haven't paid for beer in a long time is just amazing. Like, that is just the standard of the brewing.
You guys have not been paying for beer.
Yeah. Like, that is just because we've worked with some fantastic brewers that just want to talk about beer, and that's what we want to be all about. And so I guess it's really come to a fore when you're reflecting about the last 100 episodes, where we've gone from really grinding to kind of get going and kind of figuring out what we did in our first 100 episodes. And then this last 100 have kind of just, we've got into a real rhythm with it all, and things have just seemed to be felt more organic, I suppose, is the right way of approaching the last 100 years. 100 years, 100 episodes. It's felt like it at times. No joke. I think it just feels like it's just feeling very comfortable, very kind of organic with it. There is so much more we could do with the podcast, but we don't need to, I think our listeners tune into us because it's exciting and it's interesting. It's a bit of,
don't you?
I don't know.
Don't you?
They feel like they kind of must know us a bit by now, because we've been chatting shit excuse my French, chatting about beer for over 4 years now, which is wild.
I still can't believe it's been 4 years from when we first recorded in your flat in London.
I'm checking myself. Is it 4 years? It was 2020, wasn't it? We started.
It was 2020.
It must be. It was.
Some of us were fashionably late to the party.
You weren't that late in the grand scheme of things. You weren't late.
Interesting.
Oh no, just how much it's changed from your flat in London to where we are now. One, we're drinking a lot better beer because we did Foster's in that first recording session, I think.
Well, we did 7 episodes in one sitting. That is a key learning. We've changed a bit since those days. When we were just smashing beers in the net, to try and get as many episodes into as recording as possible.
Speed was key to podcasting at that point.
As Barbara set us up with, we haven't recorded for a little
while. Interesting. So, we were doing social media chat earlier on, but I made the grave error of delving into LinkedIn the other day, and I saw something about.
Oh, hello.
I read something about content creation and influence and that sort of thing, and it's like the goal is to be authentic. And good news, listeners, that's what you get with us. You get 3 really authentic knobheads. We don't put it on.
And
I
apologise for the other 2.
I was thinking about. I was having a chat to my girlfriend as well, and I think what I find the maddest is we've gone from just us chatting, then us being able to chat to other people, and other people asking to come onto the podcast. Genuinely surprised me. I was like, oh. Wow, people want to listen. Oh, come on.
Yeah, when someone goes, oh, can I come on the podcast? Yeah, but, sorry, what? Oh, you want to? Yeah, all right. Which is nice.
Yeah. It is good. It is good. I mean, we've got, not to spill too many beans, but we've got an upcoming episode with a new exciting brewery upcoming anyway. So there were some couple of things in the pipeline, which we're looking forward to recording and chatting about, but yeah, it just feels a lot more, it's just kind of all coming. But it just means with the plethora of this, because we had a conversation very early on about should we broaden the types of drinks that we talk about? You know, is beer going to be enough? And I can safely say after 200 episodes, and we've done way more than 200 beers in that time, yes, we can keep talking to beer, and we have not even scratched the surface of the amount of beers that are actually out there.
Someone said that to me a little while ago. Like, surely you're running out of beer to talk about. No,
there's
not even close.
There's still, but the thing is, I think what I've really enjoyed is finding some of the most ridiculous beers we've tried. I still think to that cucumber one that I found, which is I think is up there.
Oh no! Well, that one you found
Home
like a bargain,
bargains,
home
yeah.
bargains or whatever.
I didn't think the cucumber
What I've learned
was
in the
that
last
bad.
100 episodes is Rich's dubious shopping, ability.
Yeah,
places.
basically, if there's a product out there that you're not sure that it exists, drop a line to Rich, and he'll get it or like the nearest thing
Closest
to.
variation.
Oh,
Yeah.
and these last 100 episodes have been the starting points of Rich's brewing career, hasn't it? I think we've had that in these last 100 episodes as well. And every time we've chatted to an actual brewer, you've plugged your chili
And
beer
generally,
on them.
I think one day somebody will bite, and they'll be like, you know what, you do have an idea. I still think there's a novelty beer there for people. People like to drink. People like the spicy chili chocolate, all of that sort of stuff.
You want to be a cucumber
Yeah,
beer, but
in
for chili.
essence,
That's
yeah.
what you're saying. You want to be that.
Rich, remember how you
So
felt
not-
when we had the cucumber beer?
Yeah, and it was one of the worst things I've ever put into my mouth. And
I'm just going to leave that there.
and I've eaten Carolina Reapers. So
Actually, that was.
We've
that
had
was
some
a
marshmallow.
little mic
Yeah.
drop moment. Sorry, marshmallow beer.
We had a marshmallow beer that was really sickly. I've forgotten when we did that one exactly, but that was. Oh no, there was a tequila one, tequila marshmallow
That
type
was-
thing. It
that
might
was a
have been
Brewdog.
special, and we were just like, "Oh, that could be quite nice," and it was horrendous.
but
wasn't
we
it?
had
It was so
we
bad.
had that
Yeah.
one from Yonder when we came down to yours, Matt. That key lime pie.
Key lime
key
pie.
lime
Yeah, that was
pie.
bold.
Yes,
Which was absolutely fantastic.
I cut. Oh, what was the
Yeah.
one?
you like that?
Oh,
one?
the jam. Who was it? It's not Brew York.
Jam Roly Poly.
Jam Roly. I think Jam Roly Poly was potentially the.
Brew York rings a bell.
Brew York Jam
No,
Roly
it
Poly.
was-
Yes,
Yeah.
there
I
was
feel
a
like that
weird-
was that one.
One day I'll remember what it was. That was
I
hideous.
still stand by, which I think you boys will probably agree with me, is I think the standout has been the Affogato, though.
Stuart Brewer.
Yes.
Stuart Brewing.
Stuart
White
Brewing's
Affogato.
White Affogato beer. I've still got some in the fridge downstairs. My wife absolutely loves it. Yeah, it's been one of the highlights definitely for the last 100 episodes.
whatever
for sure.
Stuart Brewing are doing up there with which was it Project 9 or Project 7? Was it Project?
Project
Was
7.
it Project 7? What
Yeah,
the pilot brewery
pilot
and whatever
brewery, yeah.
everything Stuart Brewing sends out has been absolutely top tier.
We should get them back on again. Actually, they've asked about it, and I've been putting it off because of work commitments and stuff. But we should just bite the bullet. We should just say yes and just put a date in the diary.
I was not on the episode,
because it's always good to have them
but
on.
the African beer that we got as part of the
yes.
Beer 52 package.
That-
That was.
Was amazing.
Yeah, I remember those B52s. I was reflecting on it a little bit. We really appreciate those packs that Beer 52 sent through to us. But I remember sort of thinking I should have taken better notes about what I enjoyed and what was a real hit there. But that one was just stonking.
Yeah, that was
remind me what that was.
Was it Farmhouse?
Tolakazi, guys.
Yeah.
It was the Tolakazi,
Yeah.
the Marula Farmhouse Ale. It was,
Yeah.
it's the best. It was so good,
fabulous in an unconventional way.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that.
I've never had anything like that before, and it was just spot on in so many ways. And the story behind it as well is just brilliant. But like the beer itself was just incredible. What else was good this year? We've last 2 years, I should say, because we've spanned 2 years to do 100 episodes. It's pretty wild. Maybe over 2 years.
I do remember. I enjoyed falling back in love with Menabrea.
Yeah,
I remember. I think it was one of those ones that I remember having drank, but I'm slightly weighted by more recent history and being able to remember it better. But I remember saying that Menabrea, and not too long ago we did Lost and Grounded, and like I think I was teeing them up as potential my beers of the year for this year, I think. But those were a couple of absolute crackers.
What was the one that we were like, we hit the news before the major news outlets found it, about Madri, I think it was, that it wasn't actually a Spanish beer. That's it. And we're like, well, you heard it here first, guys. You're breaking news. They all try that podcast. And then I think, what was it, like 6-7 weeks later on, like The Guardian or someone at the Times picked it up, and we're just like, being it, old news now.
What was the one that I brought when
late.
you lads came down here, and it was the whiskey barrel-aged stout?
The Imperial Stout.
Yeah, the Goose Island.
Yeah, it was
The Goose Island?
38 pounds a
Goose
bottle.
Island one, yeah. Yes, that was...
No, we didn't. It was so bad.
I don't think we finished the bottle, if I'm quite honest. If you're big into those kind of beers, I'd imagine it would be another thing for you, but it was just like, I don't get the point.
It was possibly didn't quite also... I remember, I think
ignorance.
that was... We were in Weymouth at the time.
Yeah, we were down at mine, yeah.
I think we'd also... It was potentially in the midst of a maybe not quite a 7-episode session.
Yeah.
But a few episodes where we'd been doing maybe more hop-forward beers. And then we had a slight change of pace to the...
That was where
Bourbon Barrel.
That was where I introduced you to the chili beer for the first
Indeed.
time. Yeah,
That was it. I remember.
I
it
can
very
still
vividly
see
as if it was
the
yesterday.
sort of like a brown Budweiser bottle, but plasticky, but with like Vajazzle on it.
bedazzled bottle.
Yeah,
Yes.
which was
Yeah. Which I was like, this is when he's going to give up his career in boating to start
I went very
design.
much with
I
the
can't wait.
first taste is with the eye.
Yeah.
I mean, we were drawn in. You know, there was no way we weren't going to try that beer.
Other learning, I was going to say, I didn't realise getting into all of this, and actually I think it was also something that was mentioned in, I keep doing the nod to Beer 52, but I think when I read the Ferment magazine, there was a comment in there and a bit of a story about, actually I think we've just had it on lots of people that we've spoken to as well, or certainly that was the evidence of the thing that I've noticed, is the beer community. Brewers, the sense of community and fellowship among brewers is really something.
They just...
Now, I don't want to get too poignant and soppy about it, but
They are just the
everyone's
best,
happy
aren't
to
they?
talk about it and
they're working.
tell us what you're doing. And like, I don't know, in many other industries there are, again, because with the explosion of breweries in the last 20 years in the UK, and it's all, I mean, there's a lot of sort of local stuff going on, but it's always really heartening to hear of all these people that just go, oh yeah, we really like their beer and they really like our beer, so we made a beer together. That doesn't happen with other stuff.
It's just, I think what I've really enjoyed in this podcast is discovering the collab. So I think, because it was never really something since joining start of the podcast, it wasn't everything I didn't really think was a thing. And then just meeting all these breweries who are joining together and just kind of proving that you can make something great together has been phenomenal, because there is some great collabs out there.
Just big shout out to all the people we spoke to in the last 100 episodes. Obviously, we've got West Brewery with Lucio, who came on to talk about those Kolsch style beers, which was just absolutely epic. You know, they're kind of like the German purity law beers that were brewed in Scotland. You know, that was absolutely ridiculous good. And then we had Nathan Vickers on from the Project 7, Stuart Brewing, that we've already mentioned already, to talk about
James
his
from
beers
Verdant,
that he was doing there at the
as
time.
well?
Oh,
You
I
got
love
James
the
and Virgin as
Verdant
well down in
beer.
Cornwall, which we absolutely loved.
hazy.
We had they were so tasty, weren't they? We had Paul Jones on,
Yes.
the
Yes.
Cloudwater Brew Co.
Cloudwater.
Founder. He came on, remember? Yeah, they came on with their Forever Troubles and Fuzzy Hazy
We
Ale,
had the
which was absolutely epic.
Mosaic, the beer mat guys from Mosaic Beer Mats. That was a great episode.
Yeah, that was so good. Oh, and remember Stu Charlton from Fierce Beer? Met him as well at the
they had
the London Beer Festival
what were the
when
lagers?
he was there as
what
well.
Were they, the Cerveza. Oh, they
The
were
Cerveza,
amazing.
that absolutely epic Cerveza that they brought out, the Mexican style that was awesome as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, you talked about Wipe and Sugar. And we had Greg Bateman, of course, from People's Captain. When he came on, and I went to their launch event in London as well. So it's just too. And I'll keep going. I'm just looking back through, and I'm actually having flashbacks of all these amazing episodes that we've had.
But listeners, go back and listen.
But just the fact
Tell
that
your
we
friends.
go back and listen to all these people. And then we obviously had our friend Liz Hart-Madow on from the US, who came and gave us that kind of like culture drop of American beers that was coming on. Yeah, exactly. Like all those big drops.
I never did buy a hat.
It was all like alcohol-free tasting we had.
You're meant to wear a hat.
I let you all down.
To.
Yeah, you guys
You
were
were
wearing
meant to.
hats, and I said we wear hats, and Liz pointed out that I wasn't wearing a hat, and it was a whole thing.
So yeah, it's just been a bit of an exceptional.
I've
few
also
years, I would
learned
say,
how
getting
much
all
of
those
a fan
episodes
of Corona Vin Diesel was, or is.
Yeah, I think
that.
we brought. Probably not. I think
Yes.
I brought Fast and Furious up maybe too many times.
It did seem like you'd been involved in some kind of dare.
Yeah.
You were getting commission every time it was mentioned.
Me and Vin,
Basically,
we're just good friends. It's the yeah.
What was the bloody thing you kept saying over and over again?
Oh, Sydney Tech from the algae beer. Sydney Tech.
I'm sure we were trying to talk. I
was
think we were
stuck in my
doing
head
quite
for a long time.
a serious and interesting hot topic about the future of beer, and just kept shouting Sydney Tech.
Oh, it's because it just didn't sound like it should be a proper institution. It sounds like where all the surfers used to go in some sort of like early 2000s, late 90s comedy sort of thing.
I think there's some guys who went to Sydney Tech doing a great podcast with mustaches about things that aren't that funny, but laughing.
Yeah, no, 100%.
You can tell I've got a real bee in my bonnet about those kind of podcasts.
I should bring my mustache back. I had a mustache for a while,
and now you're sporting a bit of a beard.
Yeah, now I'm bringing it.
you did.
Yeah.
You did. You also had like a half
And
side
how
shave
times
at one
have
point
changed.
as well.
Any day now, I'm going to be able to grow some facial hair as well. Any day now.
I was thinking of it. I think it like you were, Barbs. It's going to be like that spaghetti kind of kids toy where you like push it through the holes and it all comes out.
Oh,
That's what's going to
Play-Doh.
happen to you.
One really
Yeah.
thick
Yeah.
star-shaped strands coming out of my chin. That would look.
Yeah.
That would look
But
quite.
look at it, how glorious this hair is.
I'd look like Emperor Ming. That would actually.
Yeah,
be
should be that. I was going to
Go on.
say I also enjoyed On the Road, and when we went to the beer festival up in London, it was always good fun.
Yeah. I was reflecting. That's probably where like our kind of the format might go to is more get better at doing, and we'll get different microphones for better caps.
Let's
and
go
stuff.
back
But we could do
to
more on the road
Amsterdam
kind of
and do the
style of
Heineken
beer.
experience. But now we do a podcast and it'd be more
The
justified.
Heineken
like
experience
that.
was great fun.
Yeah,
I would do that over again.
I enjoyed
I don't
that.
mean.
I enjoyed St James's Gate in Dublin. I think you guys weren't there for me with that, but that was a good experience.
Here's something that's also fun.
Guinness experience.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I went to do this thing, and that was cool.
I once went hang gliding. La-di-da. I did
take the
quite like.
podcast
I'm
on
sorry, I
the
don't
hang
know.
gliding.
And you may be
Okay.
listening right now, for which I apologise. Who did we engage with in the queue to get into the London Craft Beer Festival, where we did one of those like endless Instagram reel retweet loop?
It was another. Yeah, it was one of our Instagram followers. I don't know if he had a big following. He just was quite keen on the podcast, and we were like, absolutely. And we just ended up doing, God, it must have been a 30 deep, like reshare of each other's
really,
photos.
eye-catching QR codes, which are indistinguishable from each other, from other QR codes. I was really impressed that we got spotted.
My key learning with that one is that I'd made the QR code too big for the size. I should have made it smaller. I was trying to like billboard it, make it the whole size of our backs, but actually a smaller QR code would have been easier
because when people said,
to pick it up.
"Can I scan your QR code?" You have to go, go away, and then try because you're too close.
Yeah. Can you go stand up on that level, and then I'll turn around, and then you can scan from over there.
Should we talk about some beer? Because in the intervening period, I have drunk my old peculiar, which is likely to happen.
Did it feel old peculiar?
I have a certain kinship
is it what
with
you
old
remember?
peculiar because this strange world we live in, I feel old and peculiar. It's every bit as tasty as last time, and it's Butte beer for winter, and that's where we're going into right now. Yeah, that just nice. It's like a thick nectar. Black and gold. I sort of a little bit. I get the Wiz Khalifas about it. That's black and yellow. We've done that before. Yeah, and also it's one of those little cheeky beers because it's 5.6%. It does not taste like it's 5.6%, and every bit as good as when we first tasted it. Really, we'll feature them again if we're still going in 3 years' time.
Yeah, I like Theakston. I think that was the first time I saw the fact that there was a retail market for, if you wanted to be a brewer, a pub landlord, you could go onto these websites and so Theakston was the first one, was like, hang on, you could just go and become a pub landlord. This is how you do it. Like you go and put some money down and then suddenly you have a pub. What? I think Theakston was the first one. And actually just why I'm talking about that is because it nicely segues Palmer's. Because they have the same thing. You could basically become a pub landlord through Palmer's. They have, as we talked about in the intro, they've been around since 1794, so they're like over 230 years old, and they've got a load of pubs down in Dorset, so Rich's neck of the woods, they seem like a pretty big deal. Rich, have you come across them before?
Like 30 minutes down the road from me. I keep meaning to do the brewery tour, which maybe next time you boys are down here, we'll go because we can jump on a double-decker bus, go down the coast, and then get the double-decker bus back after being on the tour. It's down in Bridport, which I'm not going to lie. Not a lot going on in Bridport. Maybe it's got a big Morrison's. Got a big Morrison's. It's West Bay near it. That's quite nice.
That's pretty cool.
A beach.
I was about to go on a bit of a riff. About Morrison's, but
no,
it's
inlet.
Fine.
A
little bad there.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, the brewery itself, obviously being that old, it's called the Old Brewery,
Creative.
so it's obviously got its name from being around for a long time. And what I like about it is obviously they've got like water, like a river, going alongside it, and they've got one of those old water wheels. So at some point in the brewery's history, the water wheel would have like powered the something to do with the brewery, which I like. So that feels quite old timey.
I'm trying to think.
Cool.
I'm trying to think of the river that runs through there now.
It's putting me in mind of Hook Norton when I went to see them. Yeah,
It's like a bit Hook Norton-esque. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Although Hook Norton have got the tower, haven't they? They've got the Victorian Tower.
Yeah, and I think they're still using the Shire horses
only brewery that do that, right?
To deliver. But that's the sort of I'm getting that kind of nice, warm, old-timey, ye-old feeling from bars. The style of the 200 beer, by the way, what is it? Is it bitter, best bitter,
premium ale?
It's a premium ale, traditional methods, blah 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 blah. It's this former Seba. So, Rich, question, Seba, what is it?
That's an instruction.
Hop. It's a hop, isn't it, Seba? No? What?
No. It's
oh, yeah.
it's a single independent brewers association. So they're like the small brewer, like you don't brew over a certain
no. I'm sorry to disagree with you.
Liters
He's
or
a lion.
megaliters, hectoliters of beer.
He's Mufasa's boy. Sorry.
Sit back. Gotcha.
Edit that bit out.
So this 200 that we're drinking, Rich, is a former Seba Southwest championed bottled beer. So it's a full drinking, delicious premium ale, rich and malty. Rich and malty, and with just enough hop to make this Palmer's flagship ale. So this is their flagship ale that they've repurposed for their 200th.
It's not going to blow Rich's doors down, is it? Let's be honest.
It's not screaming me.
It's not. Yeah, it can huff and it can puff.
I'm looking on their website. I'm really trying to find something that's a bit new and a bit exciting, but it doesn't matter because they've been around for 230 years.
That was
people
better.
Who buy them buy them.
That was
what was
a bit
the IPA
more,
like?
Yeah,
Rich?
that was a bit more fruity. There's a bit more going on with it.
I like the IPA,
but like after 200 episodes, I kind of like what I like. I'm not going to be swayed anymore towards these older style beers. They're just the full body. That'd be the description.
I have a funny feeling I know what's at what was the root cause for your treatment of beer, and it's because in preparation for today's episode, I did listen to our last episode. That's how I knew at the start of the episode that we last did one on the 20th of September. And at the start of it, our previous episode, which for some people might have just been a brief listen ago, you talked about the warmth and climate conditions round at your gaff. All right?
Okay, yeah.
And you mention how hot it is all the time. And I think some of these older style beers, and to pick an example at random, maybe someone like Timothy Taylor's Landlord, potentially is better suited to a non-tropical climate, which I think your gaff, as you've mentioned before, does occupy quite often. Hence, you bought an air conditioning unit. So maybe, Rich, you just need to
move.
It's not the beer.
Yeah.
It's not the beer. It's your environment.
It's my bad.
Change your location.
So basically, you guys saying that you live in cold, drafty England, horrible places, and I live in this subtropical Weymouth, and that's
I can see a plant over your shoulder. It looks like it might be a cactus. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
It's plastic, but
of course, too hot. Yeah, it's like a desert in there
because it's so hot. Nothing real lives.
I don't know, but I've got an old man dog. Like currently, Rolly's in a jumper in bed at the moment. He's in a knitted red jumper. So that's pretty old. So surely I should like old beer.
No, I'm not saying old. You need to be cold.
I think. No, because we're telling you because we established this, I think, within our first 100 episodes. You just really nailed the whole hipster vibe, you know. You moved to a slightly, you know, off the beaten track town. You know, you wear what you wear.
You wear what you wear.
You've got a greyhound. You know.
You have had a mustache.
Okay, yes. Yeah. I suppose I've put...
You've had a mustache. It's been well documented on this podcast. You've liked type of beers that a hipster vibe would like.
Yeah,
you know, that's fair. Which is why Colonel, when we did Colonel, you absolutely love a non-Colonel.
I'm pretty much just... Yeah. I'm slowly...
You've now taken it up a notch. You're absolutely right, you know. One of your favourite pastimes at the moment is collecting Pokemon cards. It's very retro. At one point during lockdown, you played with some sort of like Duplo blocks that no one had ever heard of, but you were big into those for a while.
Yeah,
so
you know, that's
alternative
why we should be drinking more alternative beers. If this is the maybe
more
less
cucumber-based
beers
beers is what you're saying.
What about radishes?
Imagine it, a radish beer. Or even like a Caesar salad dressing beer.
Bland and tasteless.
There you go. There you go. Can I give you some?
That sounded like a
Palmer
genuine
spiel?
German
Just because I
word.
feel like we haven't really touched enough on Palmers yet.
Ich möchte ein bisschen Palmer spielen. Yes, Palmers.
Palmer spiel. So the fun things about this. So they are the only thatched brewery in the UK.
Yeah.
And they sit adjacent to the River Brit. Rich, you were asking what river it was. Mile from Dorset's Jurassic Coast. Head brewer only uses the finest Maris Otter malt. We've come across Maris Otter before from more traditional based breweries who use this. Carefully selected whole leaf hops. I'm not sure what the pertinence of that. If I'm honest, that's my ignorance. What is the significance of whole leaf hops, guys? This is an open question, which someone will Google while I'm carrying on this sentence. Because it produces ales in a way that have been made for generations. Ooh. Palmer's historic brew house has a traditional mash tun, an open top copper, along with top fermentation. This is the way ale should be brewed. So this is not screaming, we're going to do funky,
It sounds
sour,
like you're going to be drinking this around an open fire with a group of old men discussing farming. Fishing.
On the beach, though.
Yeah.
Because they're near the beach, the river. I mean, it's your neck of the woods, fishing. There you go. So a load of fish. I get that. I can see this vibe. I mean, that being you got the 200 there, their premium ale. I enjoyed it. First one I had was really, really refreshing. It was cold. It went down well. The second one I could have done without, if I'm quite honest. And that was just more because they're both 500ml bottles. So having a litre of beer probably isn't what I needed.
I'm currently halfway through the 200, and I did have the IPA previously. I drank the IPA far too quickly because I think I was just excited, which happens when I've not drunk in a little while. Mm. And this second one's getting a little bit harder to get through. I'm almost like, but I do want to go and do the brewery tour because apparently
I just think
it is fantastic, and apparently Graham's the man you need to get. Yeah, I've been reading the reviews online on TripAdvisor.
Reviews on the doors from people in there.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Well, I'm thinking next time you guys come down,
we'll specifically ask
to
for Graham
do the Farmers Brewery tour.
We'll go ask them.
I'd say.
Barbara, any last words on whole leaf hop?
It's complicated.
Situations?
So basically, I thought better than just regurgitate. I wanted to. No, I'm going.
Well, then better not to talk about it then. That's not what we do in this podcast.
As you're well known.
Go for it. Go on.
So, with your hops, you can either use them in like a pellet form or whole leaf, almost like raw. There's a suspicion. It's basically about the amount of, I'm going to, for the purposes of this conversation, flavour you can abstract. But equally, there is a bit of a feeling that pellet version of hops will also last a little bit longer. So there's a bit of a flavour balance and there's a bit of longevity.
Right.
Yeah.
Flavour and longevity and what's actually like most suitable for your brewery, whatever. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I guess maybe with whole leaf hops as well, there's maybe a bit of preparation that you have to do before you can make beer with them. Whereas it sounds like the pellets version, maybe the preparation's already been done. That would be my assumption.
But I imagine them being in pellet form, people are taking care of that at large, presumably because of the basis of the longevity. Yeah.
That's so you would pallets or whatever, you know how you get your sacks of hops would arrive as pellets. They've basically already been treated. Whereas whole leaf, you need to do something with it. I don't know. I'm just speaking speculation. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We should get Lucio back on from Kolsch. From West. He would know exactly. And we get Stuart Brewing back on again as well. Talk about it. Let me do some numbers on Palmer's. So Instagram, they've got 2,000 followers, and on X they have 5,000 followers. So yeah, I mean, it did make me laugh a lot. The one of their Instagram posts on it's basically they're doing some sort of tombola raffle thing, and there's a guy called John, an elderly gentleman, who's spinning the tombola, and he just looks a bit lost, I'm afraid to say, poor John. So whoever the Instagram social media manager is at Palmer's might want to
feel for 234 years
they were about to do this
you'd
film.
assume they'd have a few more followers.
Well,
yeah, but we know this, Strabs, that these breweries that have family owned or they've been around for a really long time, a few generations, it takes a new generation of brewery owners to invest in this kind of thinking. we'll go into social media, we'll do this. You know, you don't become a Seven Brothers, you know, kind of brewery overnight. You know, these guys are on all the social media channels. They're like pushing everywhere. They're doing all the collabs. You know, had the pleasure of speaking with one of the brothers on the episode. And the amount of graft that those guys do to get their presence out there is not felt in a lot of these more traditional breweries because they just don't need to. They have their base. They've been around for a long time. They kind of just do their thing. They put out the same beers and the loyalists drink them. What's going to happen in 30 years' time? I have no idea. But they're clearly not thinking
worth
about
mentioning
that
as well.
because they've been around for 230 years
good
already.
Authority that in the 1860s, 1870s, Palmers were red hot on social media. Like, you'd not seen, you hadn't seen absolute fire left and
Their
right.
YouTube
But
page
that's the
was
price of genius.
kicking
Sometimes
off,
it's
mate.
just not at the right time. Just no one was using that stuff that much, and their content was just a.
It's so funny how, like, social media, I know we encourage it at the podcast because we talk about numbers, but how it's funny it is actually when you talk about, are they big on social media? Like, a lot of these breweries don't give a crap. They don't care. That's not their metric.
That's how you know if they're cool.
Are they popular or not? Does it matter? Yeah, that's it. Like, it's such an arbitrary, like, statement, actually, to be like, what are their numbers? Oh, well,
I suppose
they're old,
a lot of breweries are famous locally as well, and that's where they're doing most of their trade and stuff like that. That's the...
Totally right. You're totally right. And there's only so many times, you know, Jim down the street can post and like the videos on Instagram before it gets a bit mundane. But anyway, 200 episodes. Any lasting comments and
we made it a bumper
reflections
episode, didn't we? It's quite a long one.
Ode to the future. It's probably about the time where you
double
guys...
the episode for your money. Yeah. Oh, good.
No
Cut it short.
We've not made a single penny from this.
Should we be saying though? Sorry, I'll take it all serious for a minute. Stay tuned. We're going to do in 2024. The next 200 episodes are going to be, mate, lit, dripping with Riz. They are going to be skibbity as you like.
And we might get round to those in the next 10 years. With the rate that we're going, with the number of episodes we're putting out there, it's going to slow down.
Yeah. To the next. Keep engaged.
But enjoy your life. Keep engaged. I love chatting to people on Instagram about stuff, and I love tagging people tagging us and things.
Personal plans for the not too distant future. How are you seeing out 2025, chaps? And what beer will you be drinking? Never mind. I was trying to give it a more optimistic note.
What? I don't know what beers I'm going to be drinking.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barber,
and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.